Good morning, Wobblers. Man, as soon as I started our visit, I can hear, we live across the street from a school, and there's a really big field that faces, here's Sadie, a really big field that faces the front of our house. And it seems like once a week, they're out there with the ride-on lawnmower, you know, the loud one. They started, I hear the garbage truck in the block behind us going, oh my goodness. The world is awake this morning, which is crazy. I really knew I wanted to stay in bed this morning. Man, those last couple of days of gardening, taming the beast out there, I'm pooped. My shoulders hurt, my arms are sore. One of those feel-good aches, right? Like, I earned this. It feels good. Those are my muscles getting stronger. Between all of that, last Wednesday, I got a little overzealous. So, the first kit that I pulled out of the machine, I knew it was workable. It was workable in a week, no problem. The second one I pulled out, if that was the first one, I never would have pulled a second one. And then we opened the Wobbles box, and so I figured I'd throw this in there too. So I had 3 challenges for this week. So first I did the Wobbles Charm Bracelet Kit. It says, welcome to the Wobbleverse. How fun is that? It came with a hook, and I think this was the freebie that came with the order. I have some very thick, this is more like a 6-weight blown yarn, and it came with a hook, and it's cute. It's an 8mm. It says Charmer on it. Fun little hook. And so I figured out what those were for. This was a 2-piece, very cool. So at the end of the yarn, you tie a knot, and then it has these 2 pinch clips with a flat top at the bottom. You pinch it onto the knot, and then slide this tube. You have the tube on first. Tie your yarn in a knot, pinch the knot, and then slide this tube over it, and it makes those little ends on tennis shoes or hoodie sweatshirts. They have a specific name. I looked it up and now I can't remember it. Whatever. You single crochet, you add your charms. Everything on here is like a metal. Very nice quality. It has one of those little pinch slides so you could put your bracelet on and pinch it down to the right size. Super cute. Very size inclusive. I mean, I could have, you know what, I could have made that into a necklace, actually. They give plenty. You could make 2. They gave 3 of those. Yeah, they gave 3 of those little dangle things. Of course, Wobble instructions are iconically well done. Left and right-handed instructions, lots of pictures. You can do a visual, you could do an audio, no problem there. I did that one right away. As soon as you left my house, I was on it because I was so excited. Loved that one. That was a good little beginning of the week. And then the next one I took on was the next one that I pulled. So this was a DIY handicrafts kit. Sadie, you're gonna have to walk around the other way. I can't open the door, it's too loud. The other door, she has a doggy door, was a ghost. This was an Amazon kit that came with multiple patterns, kits, yarn for all of them in one kit. I believe there were 4. There was a ghost, a bat, a little witch. What was the last one? I don't remember. But this is the little ghosty that I got. I made notes as I was writing. There are 12 parts to the video. It came with a little plasticky hook, which I ended up using my Daiso 2mm. It did require a 2mm hook, so I didn't change any of that. It's 12-part videos, and the videos start out with this insane way to like hold the yarn around, wrapped around your fingers and in between here and there, and I've never seen anything like it. I've watched a lot of tutorials on how to properly hold your yarn, which I don't hold my yarn that way, but I've seen a lot of videos. This procedure was crazy. I did notice a few confusions in the instructions. There is a common design, crochet, philosophy, I don't know what it is, just a rule of thumb on how to create shapes, right? If we only put 3 or 4 single crochets when starting your shape, you get a very pointy cone. 3 is pointy, 4 is a little less pointy. If you want it to be flat, you do an 8. If you want it to be domed, you start with 6 single crochets into the magic ring. It is just designer formula. It's physics. It's just the way it all works. So when a pattern is wanting you to create a flat object and they start out with 4 or 6 and start building up, drives me nuts. Because it's not going to be flat. It's never going to be flat. That's not flat. Here's a chart of what I'm talking about. Nice chart. This is common information that pattern designers all just group together because it's just the way that it is. It's not copying one another to still stay with the same formula. There's only so many ways you can start and how many stitches you could start with. So this flat circle for the top of the ghost body started with 6. So I already knew, okay, it's going to be domed, no problem. The next kit that I made, this is needle stitch. So in Craft Needle Creations, this was a early Hobby Lobby kit. This pot down here is supposed to be flat on the bottom. It also starts with 6. The pictures all show it flat, and they say your work should be flat. It's not flat. Okay, moving right along. Their abbreviations were not quite right. It tells you chain 1 to start, how many single crochets are in your round, and then it'll say chain 1 in the beginning of the next. It never says slip stitch to join. So you slip stitch, you chain 1 to move up the row, and you go around and slip and chain and move up again. It never says to slip stitch at the end of the row so that you could begin your row with a chain 1, which builds up to the next level. So if I was a beginner, I would have started my magic ring with a magic ring, which was another insane video. Nah, I know magic rings are challenging for a lot of people, but the way they showed the little tutorial on how they want you to do your magic ring, that's a whole nother beginner whatever. I would have chained 1, 6 single crochets in, and then I would have chained 1. I would have had a weird gap in there, so that was weird. I counted out my rows with little boxes and put check marks as I worked up my rows. It goes through the whole body of the ghost, and then it says going back to insert the eyes. So I did make a little note on there when I got to the eye, couple rows down from the eye row, pop in the eyes. It never says, it goes to row 26, and then there's like this weird couple of rows where it does something else in the front loops, and it never says to switch back to the back loops, and then it brings it all back down to the flat bottom of the ghost. It's just, it's okay for kits to say that something is not absolute beginner friendly. There are still people that will buy these kits just with the knowledge of, hey, you might have to do a little research, or you could say beginners, adventurous beginners, like beginners that you're gonna need to look some stuff up. I used the yarn. It was typical Crochet Kit, you know, budget friendly when they're designing the Crochet Kit yarn. It was Crochet Kit yarn. The brown and the orange, whoo, was that splitty. So there's the color palette. Black, white, brown, orange. I worked her up in a doctor's office. I worked her up in a physical therapy appointment, not for me, but with a client. So I sat in the lobby and worked on that. I fudged some things because it just didn't make sense to me. Like her arms. Her arms are like, ding, and the pumpkin is just like sticking off the front of her belly. I mean, I drop my food all over my shirt when I eat, but I have never held a pumpkin on my belly. I put her hat to the side because I made those fantastic eyelashes. Now that I'm working with embroidery a little bit more, I'm adding all kinds of stuff. We got cheeks. We got a heart mouth. I made a little bow. Oh, I can see that one stitch is out of sorts, isn't it? I'm doing my best to add character with embroidery. So I made her, man, this little chunky girl, she used a lot of yarn, of, the fluff and stuff that came in the little kit. There's 4 patterns in there, and it came with 2 of these. This is the second one. So I'm going to have to dive deep. Other than that, I have plenty of yarn left over, and I think that these colors are meant to use for the multiple patterns. All right, then the last one that I picked. So, I mean, it does say skill level intermediate. Case in point, right? Blah. Every single one of those is all starting out with a magic ring. It came with the very, like, the almost icky feeling, the cobwebby kind of feeling of the yarn kit yarn. You know, the really cheap stuff that if you've been working on the yard and your fingers are dry, how those little polyester fibers just kind of stick to your fingers. I did not use the hook. The hook was a little plastic one. I put that in with my other hooks so that I can add it to, I'm going to make little learn to crochet kits and put them in the little free library. Again, it started, this is supposed to be a flat bottom, the bottom of a pot, but it started with 6. So you're going to have a dome, not a flat. If they wanted a flat, it should have started with an 8. I could have done that. It would have thrown off the whole stitch count. And the idea is to build my skills by working the pattern as is. So if I come across something and it's a struggle, I need to figure it out so that I am building my skills with these kits. This is what I worked. I still have in this terracotta color. I still have plenty of yarn left. I've got 5 more rows of this, and then we're moving on to dirt. I didn't have any problem with the pattern. There's a lot of color changes, which I'm excited for. That keeps me interested. I did notice one typo. Okay, so round 1 was starting with your 6 count. Round 2 is very typical when you're working in the round. You start with 6, you 2 in each round, you got your 12. The next row, round 3 and 4, it's still repeating. So typically we work 6, 2 in each one, then you work 1 single crochet, double it, 1 single crochet, double it, and then the sequence changes to the next row. You work 2. So it's building up with the spaces between your increases going up 1 increment. They didn't do that. In round 3 and round 4, it went from 18 to 24 stitches, but it didn't add the single crochets between your increases. And I think that also contributed to the billowing. See, you can see how it like, it'll be fine. It's not ruining my project. It didn't ruin my day, but I continued on with what they said because I am skill building. I need to see, what are the results of that? Was there actually a reason to do that? Maybe they want it to pop concave? Concave. It's opposite. Maybe they do want it to go up and in and stuff very lightly. Maybe that's to use up less fluff and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. It's a cute little terracotta pot. Next is the dirt, and then I've got an endless amount of cactuses to work up, which I didn't get to. Sorry, Yarn Chicken. You're out of commission today. I just don't feel right pulling more when I haven't done what I said I was gonna do. I am using my, these aren't dots hooks. These are my prim hooks. I'm using the appropriate size. There was a warning on the instructions and it says, please use the hook provided to you. Going up or down in size will change the overall size, and your yarn quantity might not be enough. No fun today. Didn't do what I was supposed to do. We don't get to have fun. I did a lot. I bit off way more than I could chew last Wobblin Wednesday. I was just giving stuff away and pulling and blah. Forgive me, Wobblers. I need an extension of 1 week. But I'll come back with a marvelous cactus, right? To go along with the garden theme. I do have a few other things going on that, I mean, I wasn't distracted with other crochet. I just, I'm an old lady now. I'm 1 year older. I crochet a little slower. Whatever. Thank you for visiting with me today. I appreciate it. And thank you for not being mean to me about not finishing what I said I was going to finish. Shit happens, people. All right. I'll see you tomorrow at the duck pond with the ducks because I did take care of those responsibilities. I pleased the ducks. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Take care, friends. Bye.